there's 2 of them there.
Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah, we're
And I
gonna
got
do this
this
one
one.
4 times.
Yeah.
He's gonna show you what he's not looking. Just get one. Can you read it real loud?
If your ticket is 598257, you're a winner.
You get to pick whichever one of these you want. You want me to come to you?
Can I see that in a little minute? I think I put his in
You can
there.
pick whichever one you want.
I'm
Alrighty.
pretty sure I did.
Now, lay that ticket down. You can draw another. Hang on, let me shake it again real
No, I
good.
did not. Where is yours? What color did you want?
Somebody about came out. Somebody's ticket about came out.
That's a good one.
Okay, draw another.
Oh, wow.
You can read it if you want to.
If your ticket is 598363, you're a winner.
All right. Which one do you want?
It's trying to update with your Wi-Fi.
All right. Now we have Christmas balls available.
Well, I came back, Steve. I got them.
We just added that to our orders online. So if you do want any, we can also do other colors in balls. Because there's also gray. We can also put other colors in the middle of this. And we're not out to make a profit, so they're only $5. Not today, though. Read that number.
If your ticket number is 598211, you're a winner.
All right. Which one do you want? All right. Now for the last one. All right, one more. There's a bunch of tickets in there.
If your ticket is 598260, you're a winner.
There you go. You're welcome.
He's so cute. We need to come down.
And if you check out our Facebook page on your reports, we also have our prices and items available on there also. They make good gifts.
Oh.
Well, we'll have some. It's right behind me.
That's what you saw.
Also, I'll announce before we start, if anybody in here ever wants to join for a guest investigation, you just get up with me during one of them, I knew she would, during one of the intermissions. And what I do is I put a number beside your name and then I do a number generator. So if we need a guest, I just draw a number. We do it live on Facebook so you all can see who we do. And then in intermissions, you can get a picture. It is free with the team, an individual, or anybody you all want pictures with. We just ask that you let us take it with our cameras too, so we can put it on our Facebook. That's all I have to say.
And I've got a 2X shirt for raffle. Did you didn't do that?
I can do that out of the box I just did.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Thanks.
Go back over here and wrap what shirt.
And if you don't wear a 2X and you know somebody does, well, hey, there you go.
You want me to come
It was actually one of our events. It was one of our events and she never met, and it's been like June.
So those who was in for the decal is now going to be in for the shirt.
What about these ones right
Jeff,
here?
this, oh my
No,
gosh.
those are ones we've already got.
Okay.
I forgot all about it. I guess where it wasn't out there. I'm sorry. I failed at that part of my job. I'm never wrong very often, so.
That's just important.
Your ticket is 598733. You're a winner.
9873.
No, 9817.
Oh, 9817. 9817. Huh?
Wait, okay, Angie, read it off.
598173.
173. 598173. Okay, back here. You want to take it, Terry? You see that lady in the very back? So raise your hand. Raise your hand and you'll be able to find it. Thank you, Zach.
Catch it.
You're
That is what our part-time investigator son.
Just spray water too. Catch it.
Anybody need a picture?
Q&A. Oh my goodness.
Okay, well, we're gonna talk a little closer.
We'll start off with the Q&A, we'll mix it up. So if you have any questions, just raise your hand, I'll call on you, and then I can direct you to a certain investigator that I think can give you an answer for your question.
Oh, come on, people.
Come on, Ron or Kenny, break the ice. Okay, Kenny.
All right, here's a question, just get started. What has been, it's kind of like a three-parter, if you will, but what has been the funniest, the scariest, and probably the most sad experience you all have had while investigating?
Okay, I'll separate that up. So the scariest is the first one, or?
Funniest,
Funniest.
either way, just,
Okay, I'll do funniest, let's do Roe. See if she can come up with a funny one.
Funny?
Yeah, you have a funny one? Come on, you got
I know it.
Yeah, she'll have time to think. I forgot, we didn't even introduce her.
What we're gonna do is supposed to be on there. However, as you notice, it's updating, and I don't know. So we're gonna start with who we are and tell you a little bit about us. I'm gonna do it in the order if I've got it on there so we can just skip through it. I am Steve Garton. I am lead investigator over this team. I founded this team back in August 15th, 2009, pretty much to set out to find answers. And when I get answers, or questions, when I got questions and I find those answers, it leaves me with more questions. And of course, until I die, I guess, I'll never know it all. But then my mission changed to helping people. You know, we always say we have two clients. We have the living, and we have those that are no longer living. We have a thing we call crossover, which at the end of every investigation, we try to have the clients let us help the spirits move on. And I'm also a pastor. I pastor a church that's non-denominational, or more like Pentecostal. I am a martial artist. I'm a black belt in 3 styles. I'm a musician. Oh, and I'm the clumsiest of the group. If there's a wall, I will hug it, and not in the nice
We
way.
should let him tell the funny story.
That's what I'm getting ready
Get
to.
broke in.
Well, she can't, she's already told me she can't,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna give her another one.
And
I could do it.
I think that's about briefly what I can't think of anything else. Mom.
I'm Karen Thompson. I'm mom to Steve and Angie. I've been with the team since it started. I have felt and seen things all through my youth, and it's like you can't deny it if you have experienced it for so long. So I joined up with the team and have been amazed at what we've seen and what we've heard and what we've captured. And like you said, you find this one little piece and it gets you to go to more and more and more. And it's just, it's amazing what you find out, what's out there that you can't see, you know.
Thanks a lot.
I'm Angie Lowe. I'm the daughter of Karen and the sister of Steve. Before I even joined this team, before we even thought of even making a team, me and Steve used to investigate, you know, oh, this place is haunted, so we're just going to go and trespass over here and see how this is. So, so we would stretch out and do that stuff. And then I lived in Pike County, Kentucky for about 16 years, and me and my husband started a sister group of GCPS, and we went out on our own for a while. So whenever I decided I was going to move back home, they gave me case manager job. I joined their team full time. I tell everybody that we never know any answers. I mean, we can find this question out for you, but along with that question, like you said, comes 20 more questions. So until we're done, and maybe not even then will we ever know everything there is to be about the paranormal. I joined it because throughout my whole life I've experienced good and bad things, and not every time there's a haunting that it's evil or bad. But I was married at the time to a man who was doing things seance-wise and evil things he shouldn't have done, and welcomed things into my house. So that'll be something we address tonight too, on how to not use some of these items. But a bunch of our teams, they didn't tell you, but I'll tell you, I am a touch psychic, touch sensitive, and I am a clairvoyant. I'm a sensitive, and I'm an empath. So as I'm out there talking to some of you and I start stuttering and I don't look you in the eyes, like she was so excited I try not looking her in the eyes because I feel your emotions. I'm clairvoyant in the way that I have future dreams of things that's going to happen and deaths that's going to happen in my family. I'm in a medium sense that I don't sit down and do seances and I don't do your readings and I don't do this stuff, but I am in the sense that I can feel what's around me and I can see them in my head, and I use, without inviting them to use my energy, I use my energy to help, you know, kind of give them the strength to let themselves be known to us. They didn't tell you their part, so if they want to, they can go back and do that.
I'm clairvoyant and empath. I forgot that part. I pretty much, I can feel spirits. I know if there's a child. I will be honest with you, there are some spirits that's in this lodge. I've been told by the director, but being here today, I have actually, literally ran through a couple.
Well, the elevator keeps opening up for us.
Yeah, and it kind of takes some breath when you do it. They're not down here that I've sensed, but it's always right there as you're coming in the elevator. Don't ask me why, I have no idea. I can't really touch things like them. Pretty much my whole life I've been afraid of my gifts, and it's been a task to try to open them up, and I'm trying, but this one's a little harder.
I'm touch sensitive, I'm clairvoyant. I can see in my mind's eye. If there's a girl standing there, I can tell you what she's wearing, what she looks like, but I don't see her physically. And I forgot to mention my daughter-in-law Lisa, my granddaughter in the corner there, Angel, my son-in-law Ron, and my husband Jim back there.
She forgot over. It's okay, she forgot over.
I forgot them all.
Yeah, I forgot all the family.
Angie did too.
Oh, well, I'm empathic and clairvoyant, and I can read people if I touch their hands.
What's your name?
What?
You didn't tell me your name.
Jeff Mays.
I'm telling him his name.
I've been doing this personally for about 45 years, been with the team for 4, 8. Okay, sorry. Don't even know that.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
I've seen ghosts all my life, and my mission in this is to help the deceased. I know in the process we help the living, but my mission is always to help the deceased.
Yes. My name is Rose Stiff. Well, it's actually Rosella, but I go by Rose. I've been in this for a number of years. I'm not like all of those. I can't feel all of that. I'm just a normal. No, I'm
We're
not
abnormal.
I'm not normal.
We're not normal.
We're not normal. But I'm learning to pick up on some things when I'm around them that I probably have seen through the years or felt through the years and not really paid much attention to it. Like I said, I've been in this for several years. I've been with a couple other groups. This one is the best one I've been in. We're more like family than anything else. Always can talk about stuff. As far as I've been touched, especially by little children, which breaks my heart. But I've not seen a whole lot of things. I've caught some things out of the corner of my eyes and that kind of stuff, you know. But I take pictures for the group. I have a spatial camera that helps pick up on the pictures, and I'm really surprised some of the things that we do find. The EVPs, to me, are amazing because you hear what these people are saying to you, and some of them are really bright people because they will answer you back the question. It's not just da-da-da, it's the question that you're asking. I'm hoping to be able to pick up with more of this through the years, you know, and be able to do some of the things that they do. But for right now, this is me. And
And we love you all the same.
thank you.
Like that's the beginning of a movie or something. This is.
It's just me.
I'm Shan Weinbergner. I'm one of the newbies of the group. I don't have any special abilities. I don't feel anything. I don't sense anything. I've been interested in this since I was young. I mean, 11, 12 years old. I don't know why. It's just been a fascination of mine. I went to the Paranormal Art Center their event last Halloween, and ever since then, I've drove them crazy trying to get this group. And finally, they opened up, and
We
I
had no
made it, so.
We were strong-armed.
Put her on
And I think you
here.
have special abilities, you always know where the snacks are.
They said I will open up the more I do. I hope I do, because I really would love to experience some of the stuff, but other than that, that's about it.
It's an important
Before we
ability.
continue, if you have any gifts and you don't even know you do, if you're around people who do, especially like when us three get together, we energize her. I mean, literally, you will get nothing, put us in there, it's going to go insane. Because when you have gifts, you bounce off each other, and it's not in a bad way, it's not a repellent bouncing, you just feed that energy. And as she was saying, when she's with us, you know, there's things that happen. If you don't know you're in a gift, you've got gifts, and you're investigating with people who do, those gifts are gonna come out. I've seen people literally run out the door crying because they were freaked out on what's going on. Hey, you're born with it, you gotta live with it.
Can I add to you, Steve?
Yep.
I'd like to add to that, that I think everyone has gifts, but it's like a muscle. If you don't use it, then it deteriorates. But you're born with it. All children, you know, children always, you see them talking to somebody in the corner, and then there's nobody there. All children have that ability, because they're still innocent. They haven't been told that it's not real, or it's make-believe, or whatever. And they still have that innocence to be able to see things. But as you grow older, it's telling you, oh, it's just make-believe, you know, you're crazy, whatever. But if you're not told that, like I wasn't, then your gift gets a little bit better as you grow older. But like I said, it's a muscle. If you don't use it, then you lose it.
No, that's
Oh,
it.
Tammy.
I was like, I already win.
I'm Katie Stratton. I've been with the group for probably a little over a month maybe. I've always had things happen in the paranormal that I couldn't explain. I haven't really seen a whole lot of stuff, but I've heard stuff. I could hear like whispers, something talking to me that I couldn't see, that I couldn't explain. And then I went to the Paramount, and that's where I just absolutely fell in love with these guys. And then when I found out that they had an opening too, I wanted to join also. I went, the first investigation that I went to, I'm an empath. I can feel like the emotions of others. And I think the first time I felt an emotion of a little girl that was there. It made me sad, and I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on? But that's really, I just absolutely love everything about the paranormal. And I'm just glad to be part of this group.
What she is referring to is we were at a place that's over 100 years old. I can't tell where. All I can say is Greenbo County. We do not disclose location for their, privacy. And a little girl was connected to me, and she kept asking for a flower. Okay, I grabbed some weeds, and I put it in the sink. That's when everything started going. I mean, the way she was talking, if you'd have been there, man, woman, big brute, it doesn't matter. You're going to cry the way she was talking. Angel. She's shy, so.
This should be
She don't
interesting.
want to.
I'm Angelina Garden. I'm the kid of both of the owners of the group. 90% of them as family. I'm just gonna make that easier. I have experiences, but I don't know what ones I have exactly. I don't
She's
know.
16, so she's
I
just
don't
now
know the
getting
names
to
of
where.
them.
Just tell them your mind.
I'm currently the youngest of our group, and
He's
You're
right.
about to say you're the most loyal.
I'm Jamie Barton. I am a medium empath, which means I basically can feel the energy of someone that's passed on. I have vivid dreams. Sometimes I can feel your dead loved one, and I'll dream about it. Like I'll see them in my dreams, and then I'll have to relay the message to you because I'll get so much anxiety that I just can't deal with it. I'm a super newbie. This is my first time really hanging out with them.
No,
I've
we want one
experienced
that's
the
super
paranormal
newbie.
since I was a little girl, since my house was haunted. Like,
Kenny.
and other than haunted locations, they'll just tell me if they want help, but I never know exactly what they want unless they tell me, I guess. But I can never see them. I just feel their energy in the way they died or they do something.
Before we go on to the people on the table, there's one that is supposed to have been here. He's in the hospital. If you believe in prayer, please say a prayer for him. He needs it bad. I'm not going to go into detail why he's there, but unfortunately, he's a trainee. He's only been on one case, and he's family. We've also got another fellow that after tonight will fully be in the team. He's sitting right over there. He's waving.
Oh, yeah.
And he is actually asked before, and the only reason we didn't go into full-time is we have different positions. We got part-time, full-time. And, he's an evangelist. We can't have a full-time if he can't make it. So I got to thinking we need some more part-times. So there he is.
We need fillers.
Yeah. And talking about part-times, George.
Yes.
Hi, my name's George.
Hi, George.
I've been with them for on and off 18 years.
You made it feel like a hay.
28.
Well,
It's been
28
long- I was
years,
gonna say
put
longer
it
than
that way. We was doing investigations in Russell before the group actually started. I've had, basically like everyone said, I've seen the images, felt the presence of them and stuff like that. It's a thing to get used to. Don't expect to go into something and not understand what it is, because it will scare you. My wife, she's sitting right here. She helped us with one of the houses in Russell, and she had a little boy hold her hand.
That was cold.
It scared her, but it made her more interested at the same
It
time.
didn't really scare me, it broke my heart.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Brother Steve?
This ain't church.
He's also a minister of mine, and my martial arts student, and my cousin.
Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm Steve's wife, owner, founder, whatever, disciplinary comedian sometimes. I've been with this group from the beginning. I've seen it have 4 people and grow to where it is today. I've seen it have barely any investigations, and now we can't keep a spot open on our calendar. To me, when my husband and the team goes out, I see it maybe in a different way than, say, y'all would see it, because a lot of people will look at this team and they'll think, oh, they're just out there poking around in the dark. But in reality, we lived in a house in South Portsmouth. When we first moved in this house, we were young, our kids were young, we were excited to start a home, yay! No, didn't work that way at all. Our first week in that house, I remember we had our first real paranormal experience, and my kids were asleep. We had just got their rooms painted and glow-in-the-dark paint. It was awesome. And then we kept hearing these little footsteps, and we thought, oh, they're up playing, new house, new room. We go up there, they're out, but now there's a little handprint in the paint. So that was pretty cool. We left it there. We left that little handprint there. That was there.
It was teeny time.
I remember just thinking, it's probably one of the kids they probably faking asleep, because anybody's got kids know they're crafty.
They're twins.
So fast forward a few days later, the kids are at Karen's. We're spraying the basement for spiders because they were the size of your hand. More scared of them than anything. We're spraying, and all of a sudden we hear this little voice and see these little wet feet going across our basement floor. I was ready to move out. He thought it was awesome. It's pretty much the sum of our whole marriage. He thought it was awesome, and I'm like, oh. Or I thought it was awesome, and he's like, no. Like when I tried to get a tarantula, But anyway.
That's the only thing I'm afraid of is spiders.
That's
You
why
come
I
in-
wanted it.
Come near me with
Anyway.
a snake, I'll pet it. Come in here with a spider, I'm putting a hole in the door.
So I remember early on in this house we would have like these different experiences. I remember my son being young and telling us he would see monsters near the attic, and it was like this tiny little door. And they used to call them little fairy doors because they were only about that far up the wall, what the point of it was. I don't know. But okay. But my son would wake up and say, oh, there's this big thing outside the window. And forever we were just like, maybe he's just having a bad dream. And then we were all out on the front porch. It was me, Steve, Jet, a few other people, my 2 kids standing there, and then we seen this thing in the front yard. I was about done with life at this moment. And then, you know, that's when stuff really ramped up in that house, and I think that's when it really took off, us searching for answers to.
Was it revealed itself, maybe?
Yeah, in the end, the little girl that was down there, we got quite a few EVPs. If you check out our YouTube, there's a lot of footage of EVPs and things like that. We have a Facebook page where you can go on and find a bunch of links. I think there's cards back there.
I've told them.
There's cards. Well, I'm telling them again.
So see,
Hey,
they know I didn't lie that way.
sistering. But anyways, I remember when we figured out what was going on. It kind of traumatized me a little bit because I wasn't really ready. But I guess from what we understand from researching the property, you know, we'd be sitting outside and you could hear a horse go by on the ground and feel it.
My house too.
And so it was like one of those really weird Freaky Friday things, and you just but he thinks it's cool, so it's alright. But we found out it was a little girl and her mom, and I guess back when this house was first built, people would head in that basement, and they would be head back there in the farmlands like that, while all this other stuff was going on. So that's why we saw the little footprints, and they kind of went around. Our basement was set up weird. It had like a little tunnel-like area in it, but it had been filled in with dirt a long time ago. It had this one little room. They would come from this little room into that tunnel and out. So we just assumed maybe there was a place where they would kind of like funnel people that were in trouble, or families of people that were in trouble, you know. I also remember one of the first case we ever went on was a friend of ours' house, and we got this, well, one of the real ones where we got a very true EVP, and it was a little girl that yelled for mommy.
Now,
And
if we can get it working, I got the picture.
I think that was for me,
It's
that was
something.
the saddest experience I've ever had, was when I heard that little girl say mommy, and it was followed by a gunshot. And it's on EVP. That was, to me, that was like my first real heartbreak in this film.
We got 2 unofficial team members. They do not investigate. Well, one's going to. He's going to start following us with a camera. Because I got a camcorder, and when I hand it to somebody, they set it down. So, Ron is the husband of Angie, and my brother-in-law, of course, you know. Anyway, he's going to start doing command where he sits there. And, he helps with electronical, and if you notice, we have an update, and the Wi-Fi here just kind of stinks, so it's taking its time. My dad is our tech repair. He's over there. If we got issues, if we want something built, he's the man that does it. We're actually getting ready to do what's called an LS. I've done it backwards. SLS. Anybody watch shows, the paranormal shows?
Yeah.
So you know, with watching Zach Bagans and all them, you see the little stick figure things? That's an SLS. It's used by you taking a connect to the Xbox 360. I don't know. You'll have to touch.
Hey, we have one of those at the house in a box.
I can get it.
But I can say I was reminded about something. We do have debunkers that are on our team. It's the 2 skeptics right here. Well, she's not as much a skeptic as she is a debunker, but he's the skeptic and the debunker. So that's why we thought putting him on command would be great, because he wouldn't holler out with every dust that it's an orb. And I'm doing this lightly, okay? So every dust is an orb. So he would be like, that door open, see if there's a window. He would legitly say, hey, there's something there. So we thought that was the nicest position for him to be in to help our team.
And just while you're conversating on
Oh
it.
yeah, and plus they like to mess with cameramen, so who else put on the camera but somebody who's a skeptic?
Listen.
Yeah, it gets him out of the basement.
Also, just to touch on it, before you move away from the orb subject, you might as well go ahead and explain yourself.
No, I can't, because it's on the slideshow.
Yep, we can't.
I don't know that that's gonna load though.
It will.
It's
It
up to
will.
72% now.
Yeah. it will.
Yay!
Okay,
So we'll go back,
we're gonna do Q&A.
yeah, go back to our Q&A. Your first one was what? Funny? So I'll go to Karen for funny.
Steve is a klutz, like you said. He, in their house, he went to stand by this washer. And he was doing this number, trying to, whatever is in that.
There was a
window.
sound. I was trying to see what the sound was that our cameraman heard.
And he whacked himself. So this is on camera as a blooper. At his house, he's got these barbells, and the bar is like this. I don't know what you call them, but anyway. He trips over them. He doesn't, I mean, these things don't just boom. They're clear across the room because he kicked them that far. And him being a Christian cannot say the words that he hears in his head, so he's like,
It hurt really bad.
but if anybody is klutzy, it's him. He'll walk into walls. Our first case ever, we walked into a doorway and said, excuse me?
Genetics.
I don't know. But
Those are on the YouTube.
those are the funny ones.
Yeah, I was
He
gonna
does
say,
that.
if you want to see that, we do have a blooper clip, and it's mainly him
It's
on YouTube.
all him.
What was your
And I
second one,
would say
scariest?
70% of those.
Scariest, I'll go to Steve, because I'm sure he can explain that, he was there.
Okay, give me a second here. Not everything you face in this field is demonic. Everybody wants to say we're chasing demons.
Yes.
Squat. No, we're not. Everything says, everybody wants to say spirits are, out to get you. No, they're not. If that's the case, I wouldn't be alive. I've been in this 28 years. I would be dead. I would be possessed. And trust me, I'm not possessed. But there are some, out of the 10 years of this team, we have faced that were really bad. I can't get into any details as what they're labeled yet, because we will have it. But let's just say that there's one instance I can say, because it's not on there. It's called a hellhound. The theory of hellhounds is if you've ever died, went to hell, they are after you. Well, before becoming a Christian, I went to hell. And some might be thinking, oh, okay, it's a drink. Oh, no, it wasn't. I woke up and my whole body was red. I was steaming coming from it. For years, I couldn't go to sleep. If I did, I'd hear the screams. I'd wake up crying. You can ask this woman and this man, they witnessed my conversion and everything I went through. It was bad. We were up in a place in South Shore where I live called Coney Island. Nothing but just a hill. We had the entire team of 15 people, 2 by 2, separated. We couldn't hear each other. Me and one of the founders, which is no longer with us, had just, walking away, trying to get to a location. We kept hearing these multiple whispers, and in my experience, that's bad. And I'm thinking, oh no. Well, then I started feeling sick, and I started feeling angry, and I started doing this number. All of a sudden, this big thing about this tall comes out, spikes all in it, black, literal red eyes, and he takes out his gun. I said, I'm telling you, that's not going to hurt this thing. So he puts it away, pulls out a camera. I kid you not, he took 10 pictures. Not one had anything on it. And all it did was look at us and kind of cock his head, do this nasty little growl, and run off. As soon as that happened, George calls up on the walkie saying, you need to get over here, there's something coming after us. Never again will I go up there. I mean, just thinking about it, I'm getting chills. I can't get into the rest because we're going to discuss through the slides.
On his 2 by 2, now we generally do that, like as a firefighter, 2 by 2, 2 in, 2 out. And like I said, I used to be a firefighter. So as a ghost, out there, as a investigator, because I don't like to call ourselves ghost hunters because that's not what we're really out there hunting. We're hunting answers. So as answer hunters, we generally go at least 2, except I'm my team's Aaron from Ghost Adventures. If there is a tiny hole that's nasty and grungy and we know it might have spiders, Angie agrees to be locked in this room, and I do it every case we go on. I'm like, attic, yep, lock me up there. I'm like, room under the stairs, lock me under there.
That's me too. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, tunnel, let's go.
But you never, if you do that ever, you go out on your own, which hopefully you'll learn a lot from this. Do not ever do it by yourself, ever.
You can get hurt.
Yours is the, what was the other part?
The most sad.
Sad. Hers would be the sad. She told me she knew the answer to that one.
Yeah. Dealing with little kids, you can understand the adults. They talking back to you and ask them what happened to you and so on. And when you have little kids that's crying and touching you. And call. Yeah. And calling you mommy and talking to you and stuff, and they're so sad, and you don't know what to do to release them from this world so that they can go. And that's why they have the cleansings. But to me, that's the saddest moment anytime. When the child, we were one resident, Steve was on one side of me and I'm over here, and I could feel this little girl just tapping on my leg, just tapping. And, you ask questions and they tap one time for no, 2 times for yes, and that kind of stuff. So I've always thought in my prayers and stuff, thinking of these little kids and hoping they can find their way somewhere to get out of this.
I'm with you on that. I've lost a lot of sleep.
Yes.
Who else had a question?
Well, he's got a third one.
We've already answered three.
Okay.
1, 2, and 3.
He's got a few.
He's got a few. Who had another question? And then we'll go back. Okay, go ahead.
Do you ever feel like anything that you've experienced stays with you? Like anything that you've researched?
Jeff would be a good person to answer that.
We were at a house and there was a little girl there. We normally pray in and pray out and ask that they not follow us home. And we forgot to pray out. And I went home and I'm sitting at my computer desk. I got a big fish tank behind me and monitor right here. And I turned off the computer and the monitor, you know, when it's black, you can see like what's behind you. There's a little girl standing right here. And I went totally white. I mean, it scared, I just went chill. And I said, you can't be here. I said, you gotta go back where you came from, and she just vanished. And that was probably my scariest time. As far as researching things and having that happens most of the time.
I can add to that before I call in the other investigator that said it. I had my mother come down because a friend of mine said, I've seen this lady, you need to look at this barn. So we didn't pray in, we didn't pray out, nothing. Well, that night I'm like, whatever you do, let us know, touch me. Well, it squeezed my leg. Well, the whole night, we got different things over the obelisk. You'll see on our slideshow what that is also. So I go home. Now, like I said, my husband is a skeptic. He is one that he has to see it, he has to know it's there. So
Do you all know the difference in a skeptic and a believer? Some people don't. If you don't know what a skeptic is, raise your hand. Okay.
Okay. So we're non-believer, okay. But so we put all 3 of our boys to bed because I was the lucky one to raise all boys. So we put all 3 boys to bed, and I had some tall boys. So he goes through about 2 o'clock in the morning, and he sees, and what I had described to Steve, we can say was probably a shadow hat man. We will end up showing y'all what that is also, but it's standing by our front door. And he said, what are you all doing up? Because it was a school night, and like they said, kids like to try to, you know, your patience. So he walked down the hallway, he followed it down the hallway to our boys' doors. All 3 boys are in bed asleep. He said there was no way they could have done that. Well, after that was about a week or 2 of activity in our house that was not very pleasant. Crawling in our beds, pushing on our beds, running through our house. I mean, it was scaring our dog, and usually our dog is a very happy dog. So I had to pray this, you have control of your home. So I had to tell it, you're not allowed here, I prayed it out of my home. So that does follow you if you don't know how to get rid of it. Karen has a story.
I was walking from the bathroom twice and walked through this man, big built, big tall. Don't know if we didn't cross it over or anything.
He's upstairs.
Okay. Now that scared me. I have had, like she said, the bed shake or the couch pushed or a squeeze on my arm really hard to wake me up, you know. It depends on, I don't know if they've got messages on these things or if what it is that they come across to each of us, you know.
Another question. Yes.
My question's for Jamie.
Yes.
How long did you say you've been with the group?
Not even a month.
Okay. So it'll be like an either or question. What is the most vivid experience you've had either with the group or before joining?
Most vivid experience I had is whenever I worked at this inside this warehouse. And it was dark and I was just walking through, but I could still see this shadow person coming towards me, and it walked straight through me. And it was the craziest feeling you'll ever experience. It's like everything goes pitch black, and then you feel electricity go through your body, or like when your foot goes numb, like it was that all over. And all the sense like I had was like he had been murdered. Like it just all I felt was like he was being murdered.
Yes.
My question is for her.
Okay.
You said that you're a medium.
Mm-hmm.
So can you like see people's loved ones, or just like feel them?
I feel them. Sometimes I hear them. I don't see them. Like I can't pick them up. All I've been feeling though is like someone's been choked in this one. So I feel like someone's been choked or died from like suffocation. But that's all I'm feeling throughout this whole thing. So that's why I've been looking down and fidgeting. But
The difference, we don't touched this on here, so I'm gonna tell you all. The difference in a clairvoyant and medium is pretty much, medium is a amplified clairvoyant. Clairvoyant, you see, know, touch, smell, taste, but I wouldn't know what a taste is, I don't have that one, thank God. But you pretty much, it's a spiritual sense. The medium is everything. They can literally give you a read on the environmental area and the people. So they're like, clairvoyance here, medium's like right here.
Yes.
So I've heard like, you're talking about clairvoyance and everything like that, like what are all the terms and what do they mean? Because like, I can see stuff and I call it discernment.
Well, that's, yeah.
Yes, that's one of
That's,
them, yeah.
that's one of them, yeah.
And so that's one of them, but I don't know what are all those.
You can discern whether they're good or bad.
Yeah,
Is that-
I have
yeah.
a really strong.
Yeah, that's a gift.
Like me, I can walk in a room, if there's a demon, as soon as I walk across that door, I'm gonna know. That's not clairvoyant, that's discernment. You can tell a difference in good and bad people. If you're in Walmart, like, more discernment comes with empathy too. You can literally go into Walmart and people walk by and you can feel emotions.
Walmart's a bad place for people like us.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But clairvoyant, you
You get
pretty much
anxiety.
just the Holy Spirit. Being a discerned empath is really hard to shut down, and it's really hard to live. I've got anxiety because of all this.
We all do.
Yeah, it's a clairvoyant, medium, psychic. I don't, because I guess I've never met a psychic, I can't say that they're true or not, so that's your own. But medium, clairvoyant, sensitives, touch sensitives, that's what some people call, if you've ever watched the movie, The Diary of a Rose Red, a touch know, somebody who touches something, that's what that is they can touch something and know something. I can touch a drawer, I can touch equipment, I can touch, we went to a place, had an old typewriter, and you can touch it. Sometimes you don't even have to touch it, you can just get near it and you see and you know this person. I was able to describe to this woman who had lost her stepdaughter in the military, well, after the military, she had actually committed suicide. She brought me her ring at the Paramount and she put it in my hand and she said, "Tell me who owned this." And I described her daughter to a T, and I said, "Is that your sister?" She said, "No, it's my daughter." So she had actually held on to that ring, and she just wanted to see if we was, you know, I guess legit, I don't know, or she wanted just to make sure she was okay. And I said she was happy, but I think she was more happy because she wasn't, she committed suicide due to depression from the military, PTSD, and that is a real thing. So that's just the different levels. You have a question, Ron?
When y'all go in a case, when you get home, what makes you feel satisfied? What emotion?
Crossing over, I think. If we've crossed over and we know that it's been successful, it's like, oh my goodness, look what we did tonight. And they're at peace, you know, where they're not roaming around the property or the house or whatever, you know.
You know, when we do crossing over, we see it, we know sometimes we can see it in our heads and feel them crossing through us, because we're in a circle, not a seance, but we're in a circle holding hands, praying. And they'll pass through us on the way to the center, and you can feel them, their emotions, you can tell who they are, and most of the time you can see them in your head.
I do one, and I'll go to our junior investigator, she has an answer. I do sage cleansing. I don't do sage cleansing in the way that you see on TV that they call their native birds or whatever. I actually have a prayer. I call on the 4 angels to surround me, and I do a prayer because I am a Christian. That's what I want to guide me while I do a sage cleansing. I have sage cleansed 3 houses, and one house twice. And I can honestly say that in everything we got, we had to bless a Ouija board that was misused. And the entity that was attached to the Ouija board was considered a Wiccan priest. He was seen in the yard by quite a few people. I did not sage the yard on our first investigation, I just saged the house. And they kept telling me different things that was happening in the yard. So me and Steve went around the yard and I sage cleansed the yard. At the time that I told him to just allow the angels to surround him, me and Steve both burst into tears. That's when you know, it's like a comfort to you, but you know that in the end, they're comforted too. Because if you're getting that feeling, they're feeling that feeling. I know it wasn't of the angels, because, you know, I know how that feels different. So you can tell that what I did for him helped him leave the area. Whether he crossed over to that side, I can't say, because I can't tell you what he did in his life towards the end. I can just tell you that right at that point, he was happy to be gone from that area, because he was attached to that Ouija board, and they did not dispose of it right. But our junior investigator has an answer for that, so I'm gonna let her answer.
I think what really makes us feel satisfied or happy once we get home is not only the crossing over, but the feeling of knowing that we helped the people into what is in their house with them, and helping the spirits cross over and finding the happiness that they need or want.
Well, to that, I was asked outside if we do private homes. That's mainly what we focus on. We're not out here to make big names for ourselves by investigating. You know, yes, I have on the articles, I think over there, I do have the big places we've investigated. We're going back to the West Russell Scare House actually for a follow-up in November, because we got over 30 EVPs there the first time. But we mainly do residents because we don't want them to feel, I'm out of my mind, I can't understand what this is going on, but we want them to feel comfortable. This is their home. This could be their forever home, you know, and we want that, and especially if they've got children. We want to get these answers for them, whether it's a blessing of the house, a crossover, all of the above, the sage cleansing, or just, you know, to come out there and say, I think that's really when your air conditioner's kicking on and your house is settling, you know, then they're just like, okay. They're like, and then one woman asked me, do I bring this in by watching ghost shows? And I'm like, no, you don't bring this in by watching ghost shows. So she's kind of like got that in her mind, and then whenever she tell me things, and I'm like, well, does this happen, that happen? She's like, well, it's when my heater turns on. And I'm like, so I was able to actually answer her. I was actually able to answer her over the phone. But, you know, that's our goal, is to make our clients feel at ease, and it's more so residents.
She had a question.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, so what is it called, like in y'all's terms, when you don't see things or hear things, but can feel presence?
It's still sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a still clairvoyant, we don't see them like I'm looking at you all. It's more of a in the mind thing, and no, it's not mental. Well, you know. But anyway, you'll see, like, I can be sitting here, and in my head I can see that hallway, and then see an apparition. And it's the same thing as sensitive. You're sensitive to their realm or energy, and it's wild when you do.
Empath kind of runs it too.
Yes.
I feel like we're asking too many questions.
No. But you may be asking questions some others may want to know, but
And,
don't
don't
want to
raise
ask.
their hand or
Yes.
something.
So, you
I
say
think that's giving us time for this.
you say you see it in your mind, but do you ever actually see it?
Yes.
I do. Yes.
Because I do with mine. I can go to the cemetery and I can see, it looks like people standing over top of the
Yeah.
tombstones. And so I can see that stuff, but you all were talking about only being able to see it in your mind.
Yes, we can actually see both.
Did you all ever do the research to verify this? People?
Well, we actually do property research also, so like we can kind of know, like this one, we're going to in the 16th, a family it's been a one-owner home. And there's never, I'm still answering you, there's never been any claims there before, but we also have a couple people I have on my side that I can contact that has some access to some archives I don't. But we do properties, surrounding properties, and then if, you know, making sure that somebody else or neighbors hasn't said, hey, this is happening. Because if the neighbors are saying it's happening, there's a bigger area that we need to concentrate on. But we always do our research. I don't, as case manager, I don't always place like this whole team on a case, because some teams can't climb stairs, some teams can't crawl, you know, there's health, you know, safety. That comes into my research. You know, if I feel it's not safe for my team, I don't care if it's like 20, you know, claims, I won't send them out. We've actually been contacted by somebody who had, The only way I can describe it is the house really needed blessed. I mean, it was going to be an unsafe place for my people to go in, and upon doing research, there was a lot of other things about this area that had come up. So we actually have, in the paranormal, we have what is it called, a pastoral council?
Yeah.
It's called a pastoral counselor. It's actually got Bishop Long, James Long. I'm sure you all have heard of him. He's been on some of the shows. It's got a few that are actually priests and whatnot that we can contact, and we can get them to go out to local homes and bless them. Actually, one was in Huntington. So I make sure to do the extensive, between me and Steve, his wife, and then I've got Jeff's mom. She said she really wanted to do some other things to help the team. So I use her as my researcher. So we definitely make sure. I know you from somewhere, and I just have to say it because you have to be somebody I knew growing up in Flatwoods. You just look so
I
familiar.
didn't grow up in Flatwood, I grew up out Route 2.
You just look so
Your
familiar.
mom looks familiar to me.
Yes. Well, we used to be Garden, lived in Flatwoods. So.
I am.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Well, we live in Flatwoods now.
Yeah, you just look familiar. I had to put that out there.
I used to be a miller.
I seen your meeting group.
She actually looks like somebody I grew up next to that worked on.
Investigation where
What's that?
Alpine Village.
See, I lived on past
Like it was down past it, like going toward the grocery store.
Why
We
is
do
it on
it
out
now.
there right before the furnace?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Have you ever been on a case where it's been a residual haunt, like Gettysburg or somewhere like that?
I can say yes, but we can't go into that yet as to
That's
what
all
that
good.
is and all that. But yes,
Good question.
I can't explain cases yet, because now that this is working, we'll be able to actually finally get it. So remember that question, and we'll be able to,
Where have you done it at, Steve?
Go ahead.
This is kind of a big question.
Yes,
I apologize in advance.
that's fine.
So, like, we know from the beginning of, like, deep thinkers, like Socrates said that as far as ghosts haunting, that he thought it was like the souls of people that were evil, that were trying to fly off to heaven, they were too heavy and couldn't quite make it, and that's why they were chained to the earth and whatnot. Why do you think these spirits can't seem to get where they're supposed to be? That's my first part of my question. And secondly, how do we reconcile that, like scripturally, like with getting them where they're supposed to be? Because I'm not quite putting that together.
Well, I'll actually let the pastor answer that one. He'll be the best one to be able to answer that for you.
I've actually, when I grew up, I was Baptist. You're told when you die, you go to heaven or hell. Well, the Bible tells us in John 3:13 that no man has yet ascended into heaven but the Son of Man, which is Jesus. And also, a lot of people say that, again, ghosts are bad. Jesus was straightforward. Buddy, if it was bad, he would flat tell you, shut your mouth, don't call me that. Well, not like that, but And Peter screamed out, oh, it's a ghost. And all he said is, fear not, it is I. He didn't say anything else. The Bible actually talks about Paul taking medallions and removing spirits, attachments. Can't go into that. But, basically, I'm going to answer kind of like both of them at the same time. We've been in cases where one guy was a minister. He was a spirit. We have K2. We'll go into that, but it's an electromagnetic detector. And he kept going red. And every time I talk about Jesus, God, Holy Spirit, Bible, anything, it would go red. So I just had this gut feeling, whether it was my gifts or whatever, that he was terrified that he was in, punishment. So I started going and directing my questions that way. Every time I'd ask, it'd go red. I said, all right, Reverend, now it's time to pray for you. Do you want that? It hit red and stayed. I've never, until then, saw it just stay on. As I'm praying, this thing's just bouncing, and when I said amen, it goes out, all the activity, you felt it just leave. Pretty much like, especially if they are dead really quick, your energy is there. Kind of like you're living, if you're not able to sleep, you're restless. With them, they may have unfinished business, they want to make sure, their kids are safe or whatever, so they're going to stay behind to make sure they're safe. Yeah, message me. If you need my Facebook, get a hold of me at the end. I'll give you, message me. And I'll give you some really good scriptures. It's more than just one. Trust me, being a pastor, before I'd done this, I had to pray. Because, again, I grew up thinking, ghosts are bad. But I knew what I grew up in, and I knew what I had experienced. Not all of them were bad. So before I started this, I had to seek God's guidance, I guess you can say. And there were a lot of scriptures that, you know, he had took me to, that bishops have taken me to. I've sat down literally with 6 pastors and said, okay, I have a calling and I don't know what to do. All 6 are those kind of, you know, kind of old-fashioned type where if it wasn't Bible, you was doing wrong. And one looked at me and he said, well, brother, if you feel led, you got to do it. And I just kind of looked at him and dropped my jaw because, well, I mean, again, this guy was all, if you said one word that was off of Bible, like shoot, you were sinning. I mean, this guy was really strict. So get with me and I'll give you some really good ones.
Go ahead.
What is the difference between residual energy and then like an actual haunting?
We'll get to that. I don't want to get over, I've touched a lot of stuff on the slide.
And I know I have Kenny especially, and Ron has some questions that may be able to help for you all, but since we got the slideshow, that may help with some of your all's questions also. Yes.
What was it?
Possessions.
I mean, demonic or
Yes.
just spirit?
One accidentally.
I got, well, look, we'll go ahead and do our slides. Because a lot of good ones, because there's
I
one
promise.
slide. If you've got questions after, we do have a Q&A session.
Yeah, that was actually supposed to be after, but we was trying to just kind of kill some time with y'all.
Everybody's falling up here, we can't see.
Well, that wasn't built for my size and cap.
Okay, but definitely hold your questions. If it's off of this and you haven't had a question, you know, well, of course, we'll go back to a Q&A. Because a lot of you all are asking really awesome questions and I can't answer them and I feel bad because they're going to be discussed.
And he did a lot of work on the slideshow, so.
It took me 4 months.
Yeah, so we don't want to ruin that part of it.
I will shoot it. We're not going to have audio, unfortunately, so.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, never mind.
She fixed it.
Ignore me.
Can you do full?
He is.
Okay.
There's no audio.
I see it. Well, it was there, but now it's not.
It's just music introduction, there's nothing. Okay, we've already done this, so let's go ahead and.
You can skip through the about our team, Ron, if you want to. Just skip the.
Hi, how you doing? Hi, hi.
Hi.
Oh yeah, my son, he's not here.
And my son was on there.
Wait, let's look at this, okay.
He stopped on himself.
Let's look at this.
Okay, these are some things we're gonna be discussing, but he's gonna go, when you see where it says intelligent, just stop there. Because I've done this as like a prep thing, but I know he's going fast, just bear with it.
Somebody turn some heat on?
No, it has to make it Arctic cold in here.
Okay, intelligent.
No, not yet.
Okay.
That's just description. When it shows the picture, that's when we're gonna start talking. I said, no, it's description. Should be right, no.
You really didn't cover a lot of those.
I did.
What's the main part?
Just watch the course.
We have a question?
Huh?
We have a question?
The vampiric spirit.
We'll explain it.
Yes, we'll hear it. I don't think, stop a minute, before we get intelligent, I don't think I've got sleep paralysis. So I'm gonna go ahead real quick before I call on people to do intelligent. Sleep paralysis is 2 types of methods. There's one that is believed to be, demonic, which we're gonna, discuss that here in a minute, or spiritual. What it is pretty much you wake up, you feel like hands are on you and you can't move. But then there's the actual, which I'm not saying that's not legit, but 99.99% of the time, it's psychological. When you're in sleep paralysis, you wake up, your brain's awake, but your body isn't. You can't move. You literally cannot move a muscle. Then your brain starts playing tricks and you start seeing things that really isn't there. Now, from somebody who's tried to investigate a case that had sleep paralysis, you cannot at all determine whether it's psychological or spiritual without coming out and flat out saying, hey man, did you do this to her? And then answering you. And yet, have I ever had the answer to that? So, it's just one of those things that happens that is not really much known about it, to the point that, like I said, unless you have a direct answer, you can't determine what's what. Mom, you want to talk about intelligent spirits?
Intelligent is where you've got a recorder and you say, what is your name? And you give back Debbie, you know, and you know that's it. Or you hear it say, who do you miss the most? And it might say Mommy or Judy or whatever. You know, they're answering you back. And they're real life right there, you know. You may not be able to see them, but you can hear them, or you can feel them touch you, or you can, you know, they might move something even, or hide something, you know. I'm going too fast on it. That's the wrong ones.
There was lunch on here. Bear with me, I forgot all about adding these, it's not on here. When you get in preparation, I don't care how prepared you are, and you have notes on it, you tend to miss things. The word paranormal just means above or beyond normal. It's things out of our normal realm. You know, normal, you see a bottle of Mountain Dew. Paranormal, you see it get up and move. Logically, you're not going to be able to determine, okay, that bottle just jumps up and moves on its own. It happens to have a force. Everything is energy. Everything's force. Something had to make it move. Yeah. When we're in the field in an investigation, we try to determine, okay, that door opened. There could be numerous things. Uneven floor, uneven, you know, frame, wind could have blown it. You've got to try. I've got video of me looking like an idiot, running back and forth, jumping up and down, no audio, so you have no clue what I'm doing, and it never opened up this door. Well, as soon as I walk away, we get set down, the door goes and opens. So if we can't debunk it or recreate it, then we start to say, okay, there's something behind here. Where you all saw, if you all saw it up there, the spirits can manipulate your energy. Again, we're going into the empathic. Empaths can feel your emotions, your thoughts. If you're angry, I'm going to feel you're angry. If you're excited, I'm going to get really excited. If you're sad, you get the gist. Spirits, like, oh man, we've been in cases where I've been alone. We do isolation sessions where just one investigator is in the home alone. And I have just got overwhelmed with anxiety, which lets me know multiple spirits is around me. And then I started getting headaches and things like that. They can manipulate you. And then the last thing we'll get to, back to the slides. Untrained. Who was I talking to outside? I was talking to somebody about watching TV and thinking you can be a paranormal investigator. I'm sorry, you cannot. What my friends do on those shows, 90% of the time is staged. And I know these guys personally, so I can flat out tell you they are staged. Some aren't. Now, Jason Hall's one time, no, it was Stephen Gonzalez. You all watch Ghost Hunters and Ghost Nation, all that. Those guys are really good friends of mine. And I was sitting there talking to Stephen, and he had told me, he said, you know, the one thing that makes me mad is if we don't get a production makes us go back until we get them to go. And they've actually quit. Now they're in a place where they call the shots. They're not allowed to fake. Nick Groff left Ghost Adventures because Zach would not stop trying to fake, and he got fed up. We do not fake. What you see is 100%. If I catch an investigator faking, guess what happens? They're gone. I won't tolerate it. And unfortunately, they go in there thinking, okay, this is going to happen. All these guys are getting all these voices and bangs, and sometimes you're just talking to walls. Until you review evidence, you're not going to know half of what you get. And I'm telling you, it can get boring. Yep.
As case manager, when I call you at home, I will get your claims. I am the only one on my team that knows your claims because I am a true believer in if they go in blind, they're going to A, be able to pick up more of what's in there, if anything, B, validate my client's claims and make them either feel at ease or get them answers. I try to forget the claims, but I will sit throughout the night and go through my paperwork. If I find that the client hasn't had any answers or we haven't asked the right questions, about halfway through the night I'll say, okay, now this is what was said. But I truly believe that if I send Steve into this corner and I tell him, I said, okay, now the claims was, there was a guy who killed himself over here, hung himself in his closet, your mind's gonna see
Yeah.
something
You'll
hanging
see
in this
him.
closet, whether it's a garment bag, whether it's whatever, you're gonna automatically go to this and think that's what it is. So I'm a true believer, and if I send them in blind, they're either gonna get something or they're not. And, you know, if they don't, then we always ask to come back, because there might not be that time of the day that this happens that we're there. Or it might not be the day, which goes into the residual part, which I won't get into. But now, I wanted to add that in on his part there.
Who was the one that asked about research? Okay, to answer something, I was busy, so I couldn't really listen to much. Research is very vital on an investigation. Do you all know where the West Russell Scare House is? Used to be a school out in Flatwoods. They do have activity. Let me tell you about this specific rumor. They used a theme that 4 kids were murdered by a janitor. Everybody believed it, and it was just for their house. Well, I thought, okay, we're going to go address this guy and find out what's going on, why he killed him, because they said he was there. When I got talking to the client, which happens to be a cop, so you know he's got, what's the word? Access to evidence. He said, brother, that never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go into a home thinking 4 kids is murdered, I'm going to go in there all gung-ho, and I'm going to find out what's going on, we're going to war. Well, guess what? You're going to hurt some feelings because your research wasn't right. And you've got to have the right research to know what you're going to deal with, because we've done cases where we didn't allow research to go in blind. And let me tell you, we're about ready to discuss some of that, but one of my investigators is no longer with us, got possessed. And what possessed him, he's still not the same.
No.
And you've got to do research. And sadly, a lot of people don't. Get to points where we can discuss how they work and all that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What about tarot cards? Are they the same thing?
They are,
Kinda, yeah.
they can be
Okay,
bad.
yeah, because I know someone that has a set, and I'm like, don't bother.
You can be, they can
You
be
can
used for
open
the same
up.
purpose, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Now, if you're highly trained, it can be okay, but
If you're just a regular Joe out there buying, and you don't know what they are,
don't touch it.
There's another question back here.
Where?
Was there another question back
Yeah.
there?
Did you have a question back there? I thought I saw you raise your hand.
No, I didn't see nobody else.
Okay.
Okay.
Kenny raised his hand.
Yes.
Okay, there you are.
Along with the Ouija boards and the other one there, which I'd never heard of it
I
before
just
myself.
Hadn't even.
Yeah, here a while back, I'm sure everybody will probably remember this, and I'm sure it's probably along the same lines, was the Charlie phenomenon.
Yes.
I don't know, maybe you could expound a little bit more upon that too, because that falls in the same category too, am I correct?
Yes.
As a Ouija board and such.
That was real popular on Facebook not too long ago, actually.
They actually, I believe, use pencils, wasn't it?
Yes,
Something like that.
two
Oh,
pencils,
yeah.
I believe it was.
It's pretty much summoning. You know, a lot of people say what we're doing when we talk to them is summoning. We're not summoning.
No, they're there.
We're not necromancy. We're not out there saying, I dare you to come, or we're not calling on names or whatever. We're there to talk to what's there. And they're summoning this name that they have no clue what this name is. I mean, this Charlie could be something very dark. I mean, demons' main goal is to disguise, to deceive, and to kill. They will destroy you, making you sick, everything. And what the Charlie is, I mean, whether it's, you know, because I didn't really read too much on it, but the priests that have studied it said that it was a demon that was named Charlie in the medieval times, and that's what they were calling on. It's about the same thing. Anything you can use like that you conjure up this certain name, can be bad. Okay, I'm going to do this one because even though I'm going out of order, because there's a lot here. What this picture is our full spectrum camera, our digital recorders, and our walkies. The full spectrum camera is a night vision camera that sees full spectrum. What a spectrum is light.
That's the top.
Yeah, that's the red. Our normal cameras detect normal spectrum. It doesn't pick up UV. It doesn't pick up, you know, different types of light spectrums. The full spectrum picks up the UV, the, what's the name? Yeah, the IR. Oh, I couldn't even remember that. IR is infrared. My camera back there has night vision, but to see really good, you have an infrared, which we'll discuss in a minute. We've actually, it's believed that in the full spectrum realm is where spirits manipulate, or roaming. I have used that camera, oh boy, about 9 years, and only once got a apparition on it. It does, I mean, I've had more apparitions on that night vision that's black and white than I'd have the full spectrum. Walkies, well, pretty much used to communicate between the teams. The digital recorders is where we get the EVP. We run them, voices can imprint on them from the spirits, we can communicate that way. If you see the shows, they say, talk in this device, and we can hear you. That's what that is.
Can I expand on walkie-talkie?
On the EVPs, something that we try to tell, well, I try to tell everybody as case managers do, and then we try to tell them also after. If you have 5 recorders recording for 5 hours, that is a true 25-hour, because we do listen to word for word. I mean, I carry a personal, I mean, I even listen to me going taking a pee break. So I listen to everything. Because and luckily I did, because I heard a spirit in the bathroom. But that, if we have to try to tell everybody, you know, it's not like one recorder and you're done. It's like you got 5, you got 25 hours, however long you're there, you got that many hours to actually real-time audio.
We've had clients the very next day say, are you done? And I'm thinking, how? You knew we were there 6 hours. We had 6, that's 36 hours that, I mean, I make it clear to them, it'll take a couple of days. I get being anxious, but the next day, I mean, no way, I'm not Superman, I can't do it.
Now, we did hurry up the scare house because they wanted that for promotional purposes.
Yes.
You know, so we did give them their EVPs quick.
I was gonna add walkie-talkies. Spirits can actually use walkie-talkies. You just be, you know, in a different room and you hear somebody else talk, and you say, well, what'd you say? Well, I didn't say nothing. Because they just, anything that's electronic, they can manipulate.
Jamie, you want to talk on the stabilizer, and the other picture next is similar to it.
It's a gimbal stabilizer.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
The gimbal stabilizer. The gimbal folds up for saving space and storage. It weighs. You can remove. It makes it easy for the person running the camera while sitting down to turn the camera without having to move much. And the tripod stabilizer, it folds up so you can hold it in your hands, or you can fold it up as you sit. It can allow the camera to go straight up and down or flat and point straight.
Next one, that's the same thing. Angel, do you want to answer about microphones? Work the microphone?
Microphones for recorders. We use these for the boom mics and our recorders. It allows us to have further reach and amplify the capture of the audio. So if you have a microphone for a recorder and like something whispers into it, it allows you to hear much more clear and allows you to hear things that you wouldn't normally hear.
George, listen up.
Listen up is basically about like a hearing aid that you can put into your ear to hear like smaller voices and stuff that you can't normally hear with your regular ears. This is used by our team to amplify the area so we can hear in real time voices of the spirits. We've heard voices that we've had, that we've picked up on recorders and other items. We've heard them and did not pick up with our normal ears. The listen up is, like I said, it's basically about like a hearing aid that you put in, and it amplifies everything around you.
I'm going to make this quicker, and I'm going to explain briefly, because I need you.
I just had them bring some water down too.
I need to use the restroom, so we're going to take a break before I show the evidence. So I'm going to quickly just not call on anybody and just tell you what these equipment are. We'll flip the light on. You all can come up here, put your name on it as a guest, check out our boards, and then you can go smoke, use the bathroom, whatever you do.
But please come back.
And please come back, because we've got some awesome evidence, but I've really got to take a break after this, so I've got to shut everybody up.
And I'm just prepared.
Okay. This is a cell sensor. It goes beep beep. You'll hear me on the audios or on the camera or video saying that beep beep thing. It says beep beep. It's another electromagnetic detector. It has a probe on it, if you notice the little black thing. Whatever the spirits or that thing touches, and if you shake it, it'll beep. It's a different type of reading than your K2, which will do that. That's the K2. It's believed that, in theory, spirits can manipulate this and let you know that, hey, I'm here. They can use it to answer yes or no. The issue, our walkies will set this off. And we have clients that's like, I'm like, no. And we even have team members that go,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking, I'm a spanky. And the world's worst, besides your appliances, is right here.
Yeah.
Even though these have EM shields, which is electromagnetic shields, it's supposed to stop the electromagnetic field. When you have it turned on, it will flat spike the snot out of it. So if a person is sitting here like this, and they've got a K2 and it's going off, I always tell them, separate and walk away. We were doing the scare house, and George had a K2 going off. It was because of me. I was on live. I didn't recognize it, and I'm like, oh! As soon as I stepped back, it stopped. But then I stayed in the same place and it went off. Yeah, I'd say that. Walkie-talkies will work. This is called a geophone. It's a vibration detector. I can lay a geophone on this table, do that, and it is the most annoying high-pitched sound.
Yes.
It's best to stay on stairs. You're not going up and down. On planes that they get footsteps. Laser grid is you set up, we got blue, green, purple. It's detecting, like putting out a bunch of lights, dots everywhere. Theory is spirits can go through it and it will show a solid black mass as if we were to go through it. Don't do it when they have cats though, they will freak out. Yeah. This is the same thing, but this is a red and green light. They're just constant. This thing can move too. The world's most annoying piece of equipment is the motion sensor. The best thing is when they're seeing shadow figures or movement in the corner of their eye, you can set this up and it'll sound ding dong, like you hear in the old stores or whatever. That's what that's for. Everybody's favorite, Obelisk X. It is programmed with 2,700 words, and in theory the spirits can manipulate it to speak. It is not programmed for derogative words, which is, female anatomy, man anatomy. It's not programmed to cuss. However, they say it all to me every single time. And sometimes sounds very, very weird, but I've had to click through all words to find out what these things are saying to understand what we're saying, or what it's saying. Because we will hear Lorelei. That's actually warrior. It doesn't sound the same. She's going to go through Ghostbox. This is one of her favorites.
Oh, that's my favorite. We actually do a thing that's called Ghost Box Isolation. Normally I do it, they ask questions, I put headphones in, and earbuds in, and I put a blindfold. What the blindfold does, it shuts down that sense. I don't have the urge to want to open my eyes and look around, so I've got that shut off. So what that does is it scans through AM, FM frequencies, and it gives the spirits around you the ability to be able to speak through that. So what they'll do is they'll ask questions. I can't hear them talking, so I'll answer whatever is on there. We've actually read back this stuff because she usually writes them down, and we'll read it back, and there will actually be a story in the way that it's read through there. But that's a good way to communicate right there. And it speeds fast.
Millimeter. It is another, once again, EMF. But this one does ambient temperature, which is how cold it is. Does your number spike. And the guy who made its daughter's name was Mel. She passed away and he wanted a way to detect, okay, she's here. So he created this. We do not own this. A guy in our team had it. He's no longer with us. But it's called an Eddy. It actually is a multi-device. It's EMF. It's a geophone, the vibration. It's temperature. And it data logs. So every spike you get, you can put on your computer and say at this time, you have this spike in these kind of categories. Yeah. The temperature gun. This is simple. You point it, wherever the laser hits tells you what the temperature is in that area. We kind of use this to say, okay, it's 72 degrees. Can you drop it to 68? If you see it immediately start dropping, well, guess what? In theory, they're manifesting or manipulating the EMF to manifest, and that's when it starts to get cold. Hence, your cold spots, that's good at detecting that hot spots. That's the IR light, and it does look like that. That is 42 IR bulbs. He's created them for us, and it will light up the room that we don't see it. All we see is little red dots.
He is dad back there, by
Yeah,
the way.
that sucker will brighten. I mean, you can see from here to the back wall. It's nice. And of course, camcorder. We all know what a camcorder does. It's for video. That is just an analysis piece. We can do multiple analysis. If I hear an EVP, I like everybody to hear it at the same time, because sometimes I might not get at the right area. We can all plug in and hear it at the exact same time. DVR, 4-channel, it sets up 4 cameras, records all 4 times. You see on the shows you got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what that thing is. Can you tell I gotta use the real bathroom?
Yeah.
Last one, thank goodness I gotta use it. Trigger object. This is mainly for children. You have music. You can play music and they'll sometimes interact. You have a bear. We have this thing we call Parapuppy. They can push the belly and they'll say, hee hee hee, that tickles. We've actually had it go off. Nothing new. Yeah, the Paramount. We've had bells, the circle ding dings, and the hanging. Out at the scare house, I hung this bell. Nobody's near it. And twice, this sucker just goes off. We didn't hear it audibly. We heard it on the recorder. So apparently a child or somebody went through the door, and it was not an area we frequented. It's only through a trap door that you got to go into the maze. And nobody went through that door. Okay, stop there. I've got to use the restroom. If you want, come up and put your name on here. We've actually got quite a bit of audio, picture, and video. Again, all these are 100% not, again, if I catch somebody faking, they're gone. I do not believe in faking. I do not believe in whatever. If we get a picture and there's an entity or apparition, I try to recreate it. So I'm going to explain these real quick. I don't remember if they're in order, so I'm going to look at the order. Okay, this is done at the Paramount Art Center. Last year we done a, we done a public investigation, and we had quite a bit of people. We raised about $1,000 for them. And one of my investigators, I believe it was, or George.
No, that one was Rose.
Okay, took numerous pictures. Now I instruct my investigators to take 3 or 4 pictures at a place. Because if you get this in one time and not the others, okay, you might have something.
This is not a copy, this is just so y'all can see it.
The weird thing is, one of my investigators in that area put down a seat, or put up a seat, I'm sorry. And when he come and investigated 30 minutes later, the seat was down and she had snapped the picture. Now, I'm not saying that is actually energy, but it's something that should not be there. It is not something that you see in pictures in our team. That's questionable. That is what makes you leave and scratch your head. This is Paramount Joe. We are the only team who's ever captured a picture. Who Paramount Joe is back in the 30s when the Paramount was constructed. There was 4 workers, 3 of them went out, come back in and found Joe, which was his name, hanging from the rafters by his throat. Nobody knows if he killed himself, nobody knows if it was an accident. When we presented this to the director, she pulled out a picture of him and it looked similar. Now this is called a spectral camera. It's kind of a full spectrum, but it's not. That's why it looks so grainy and weird.
It definitely shouldn't. I don't think it captures your face like that normally, does it?
No.
Like that detail it just don't.
Okay. This is Dawn. This is the one we try to recreate.
It's me in the front.
No, it's not.
That's not me in the front?
No. When I placed Jeff and the client, their shirts were black. If you notice, this guy's shirt is gray with black pockets.
This is actually an investigator.
Oh, that picture.
That's our camera woman. I'm the only one in that picture. Our obelisk, I just put in batteries, and when it turns on, it says dictionary mode.
This is Steve.
Do you want some
Yeah.
water pop?
And it stopped. I'm looking down trying to figure out why. Our investigator snapped 6 pictures, and only one, we caught this guy who's much taller than me.
Is that Lynn's house?
Yeah. The people that were the tallest, Jeff and the client, didn't even match his
That's the
height.
basement. Yeah, Ron knows that's the basement.
Yeah, we kept him in there the whole
That's
way
the house I
down.
was telling you about where he used to
Yeah.
I can't see it.
That's a good one.
Okay, this is done at Catlicksburg, called the death room. Nobody was in the house but the person taking the picture, which is Mom. We heard some thumping, loud thumping. And when she had taken multiple pictures, she had taken one after another, and you see this thing moving. It kind of looks like an old lady, which was believed by the clients to have died in the house. Oh, this one.
I'll explain this to a few of them.
Rose is the only one in this basement. She's the one behind the flash. The original is the blue purple. It's called a full spectrum snapshot camera. My dad actually modified her camera to make it full spectrum. The black and white is my edit because I wanted to make it to where you could see the apparition better.
This is when she's
Another
standing
thing-
with her camera. This
Another
side.
thing you're not adding in is how you did the projection at that location, she would have had to have been hanging from the ceiling
Yeah.
to be in that mirror.
Okay.
And there is someone brought to attention that there is a rope
Yeah,
around the
we
person's
found the
neck.
news at our last event. Do you all see that face? Now, the client's the one sitting on the bed, Mom's the one sitting on the floor, Rose behind her, and nobody is in that room that is in the vicinity of that mirror.
No.
That's not a doorway, that's a mirror. And if you look closely, you can see holes, what should be where eyes are. It kind of looks like a skeleton, and I'm telling you, I've never seen that before or after that.
I don't know if this relates to like paranormal ghosts and stuff, but do you believe that mirrors can? Okay.
We know where you're going.
Mirrors are can be portals and
My
doorways.
husband, when we went to my grandmother's house, and she has an old mirror. Everybody in the family hates it. It's supposed to go to my mom. She said she's gonna bust it when she gets it. When we went, I'm short. It's way up here. I can't see out of it. You saw my great grandmother behind it.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm walking through the hallway, it's a long hallway, really weird looking, it's just an old house, abandoned house, and there's this mirror at the end of the hallway, and I'm doing my best not to let my eyes catch that mirror just because I don't want to look at it.
I don't like mirrors.
And so I finally get to the end of the hallway, and I look up, and I catch her standing behind me, and it was clear enough I could see the stitches in her clothes.
Wow.
And I dropped my eyes, and I said, I don't care what's in this house, I said, I'm going to the porch.
I've been in houses where there's a lot of mirrors, and it's believed that those mirrors are to help the spirits pass through each room. Which spirits can go any room, they're not bound to one room.
Well, then there's a
Or-
psycho prompt.
Yeah.
That's because we have this lot back here.
You go into a
If we
room
shut this off,
with a
we'd sit
chair
good.
and a candle and a mirror,
Mhm.
and it's dark, and basically.
Scrying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on a much larger scale.
Oh.
It's, you should read about that, look that up.
Yeah, read about scrying.
Does anybody want me to turn this light off so y'all can
Psychopaths.
see that well, or
Can windows be like the
is
same?
that okay with
Yep.
everybody?
Just not as close as a mirror.
He
No, I want-
experienced
where's that?
between my
I don't know where that one
stepdad
is.
and
And this off
window.
up here?
And my dad had been dead
That
for
was
3
all.
years.
Those work together.
So
Yeah.
I was just wondering.
Maybe that one just doesn't go off.
Maybe it's a security.
This one is called Old Man Bailey. It's done in one of the first locations we've ever done. The people you're gonna see is by the door is the client, and right there, the eyes, the glowing eyes is Jeff. He actually was coming for, this is called an IR Snap Pro shot. What it is black and white. If you move at all, it is completely blurry, hence why Jeff is blurred. However, there should absolutely be nothing with a top hat, and if you notice, there's some eyes. That's a blown up picture. Nothing was in front of Jeff. I witnessed it with my eyes. He snapped the picture 5 times, and only this one happened to be there. I'm the one who blew this up. It really is not this large. The next one should be the original picture with an arrow. Never mind. My bad.
You're on EVPs now.
Do we have the audio?
He has to click it and play it.
All right, listen closely. Y'all probably didn't hear it says in me. You might want to do.
We probably ain't gonna hear
It ain't turned up. Hold
No.
on. It ain't turned up.
Some of them they're gonna hear, but the little whispers they're not.
I'm gonna go back on. Alright, I'm gonna go forward and see if it'll work. Well, dang it, I'm sorry. Piggy Boo did.
Be upstairs or stay chase Jeff. Okay, you heard a female say "and me." No females were there. It was men only.
If you wanna scoot over on this side closer, wherever
I don't
y'all wanna
mind.
get close enough to the speaker, y'all are welcome to.
Oh yeah. You might have to click it again. I don't know where it went.
Whoa. Oh, there you go.
You were talking.
We're going back so you can hear it. See where it's got that on? You can click the audio just from there. Try that. Let's play it.
Be upstairs or stay chase Jeff. That was at a place that was way out. Log cabin. It was old.
Oh, I heard it.
We're in here,
That's pretty good.
I hope if I die and call anybody, my voice don't sound like this.
Mine's gonna be like, I'm right here.
Oh, no, I'm gonna be the hateful spirit that haunts Greenbo.
Oh, when my blood sugar gets up, I'm gonna be like, so, who are we scaring today?
Do you ever wonder if sometimes what you're recording is not people?
No, because
Well, we got
We
a
know
goat
there's a
once
large
in South Shore, there
spectrum.
was no goats. But,
I mean, not was once people, but something portraying to be us.
oh, I see what
oh
you're
yeah,
saying.
we're definitely
Prankster
open to
kinda.
that. We know that we're not the only thing on this earth. I mean,
You did that one thing.
Because like what you said, when we die, our voices should still sound the same.
depends on how you died. Did you smoke 4 packs of cigarettes before you died?
Hey.
Did you get hit in the throat by a truck? I mean, I guess it just depends on how you go, or, you know, if we can stand in life and make our voice sound any kind of way, I'm pretty sure we could spook a paranormal investigator like,
Okay, this one's low. I think. There were some, I thought they was gonna have audio plugs, so I figured
That was not playing.
just skip that one.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them probably found out.
the next time we do one, we need these clips separate.
Oh yeah, okay, hold on. Only men. The client told us that spirit does not like men at all. So was me, Jeff, and my son. Now, I hate hearing this. Oh, I'm getting chills
Yeah.
just thinking about it. This is not demonic. This is a very hateful person who was a female at men. Hated men. And you're going to hear proof of it.
But please.
Please play it. This one's really good. Please, please, please. Yes.
Whoa. She's like, I'm done.
Now, let's say the follow-up.
I can
Wait
witness
again,
that
Ron.
all the females was literally outside on the
Yeah,
porch during
we
that
weren't in there.
because
That sounds
Wait.
like The Exorcist.
she was very hateful.
I called her a witch because, I mean, she sounded awful.
We're hearing you in the
In
future.
the follow-up, we assured her we were not there to harm her, and she did not speak to
We
us
didn't have
after
that problem, yeah.
All right, let's hear it again.
Get out of there now.
Yeah.
Steve had this one that, the recorders wasn't close to each other or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but he had this one talk, and I can't remember where it was, and it set off all the recorders, they squealed, all of them.
This is in Greenbo.
Oh, yes.
The client said the cabinet slammed, so. Do you hear?
And I said, what was that? Because I was under the stairs walking that road.
That's the phrase of every paranormal investigator. What was that?
And I went and slammed every cabinet, of course, in the permission and the request of the client, and found what one. It was the snap one.
Yeah, anyone, cookies.
Okay, this is done at a cop's house. We are in what he calls the coal room or stone room.
Yeah.
Only people, there are no kids. We do not allow kids. And the only reason my daughter's allowed is because I'm here. We do not allow kids unless you're at a certain age, and they're not kids.
And I don't generally allow them to have them in a house whenever we investigate under a certain
Yeah.
age.
It's me, Roe, and the two clients. You're gonna hear me and Roe talking, and all it is us just standing in this cramped little room. And then we got this.
Excuse me?
Apparently I was in her way, because I was in the middle of the room.
Or she was trying not to interrupt you. Excuse me?
Yeah.
That one's kind of cute, but it also makes you feel kind of sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. That's her.
Is that the little flower girl? Is that the little flower girl?
Yeah, you're getting
Me and
interested
Angie
now,
left
aren't
Mom
you?
alone, and she said, we have a recorder in here, and you hear, I'm in here with Mom.
Are you done?
That's the next level
See, this
shit,
is why
man.
we should only work together.
Okay, this is done at Jeff's house.
The way he
200-year-old
looked at me,
farm,
he was-
we're in the house, and you hear,
Yeah.
Is that in the barn?
yeah.
Yeah.
We have no clue what it was. We got that numerous times.
I really hope you got that really good one on here for Jeremy.
Shut up.
Well, here's
The
the
one
other
that
one.
says, I'll get you.
On the movement. Nobody's out there.
Have you got the will done?
Do you guys ever wonder, like, you say you experience children's spirits?
Oh, yeah. A
Do
lot.
you believe they're children or something portrayed?
If it was something portraying children like a demon, we would know it.
I can
You
feel it
would-
if I go in,
you'd
and
know
I
the
always do a
difference in
test,
the
which
air.
they have to obey, and
Well, plus you know how to ask questions to determine.
Do you
Yeah.
think the children know that they're dead, or? is
Some
it
don't.
just-
Listen, the one we had at our house kept looking for their mommy over and over.
Yeah.
It was residual. It would come through the basement, it would go to that little area and start asking for its mommy. About killed me all the time, I had to get out
I
of there.
don't, but I think honestly.
this is at his barn again. It loved to throw rocks. Now I'm telling you, I'm the only one in here, and I said, throw a rock at me. I don't believe you're tink. Okay. And it
Constantly.
just barely touches
Nobody
my
up
foot.
there. Not a soul up in the loft.
Nobody's in there.
It's a big barn.
And everybody knows what this place is.
Okay, this is the West Russell Scare House. Every one of these from here is from this place.
I don't like that place. I don't like that huge
Apparently you can hear a guy
Where's
say,
my
where's my
memory?
memory? Now the theory is when we die, the Bible says when you die, the dead know nothing. Doesn't mean the dead don't know anything, they're stupid. It means, I believe you don't know your life from before. Granted,
Will you play
things that
again?
break your heart, hold on. And this right here validates what we've been asking for 10 years. Can you remember your life? This guy says, where's my memory? So that leaves me with the theory, no, some of us cannot remember who we were before. Yeah, because it will.
And he sounds so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've
like,
asked
where's my
before,
memory? See,
what
we
do
get
you
all
know
the
what year?
spectrums. I mean,
Do
really.
you know what year you died? They've never answered.
And
you know.
another thing, could they have?
See, that's why we don't.
That's what I was thinking,
You can
the
feel
vision.
that.
Because my grandfather, this time last year, died from Alzheimer's.
I know a lot of places
And he
do.
said, I don't know where I am.
We
So
try
that's
not
something
to,
that could
even
be
if it's low.
Yeah, that's a good question.
This is in the basement of the scare house. We audibly heard this. He didn't do it?
They already did it, I heard it.
Oh, I couldn't hear it.
No, we're too far away, it's probably why we can't.
Yeah, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, we can't hear it back at all.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get that to the
I got a good recording of that.
Listen, but the beautiful thing is our YouTube has tons of really nice things like this on it.
Oh, actually.
We didn't hear one here.
To scare Jeremy.
Okay, I was touched so cold. I've got a vest, a shirt, everything, and it froze me like somebody put an ice pack.
And it was not cold because, trust me, every one of us was sweating here.
Yeah, and we got, this one you're not gonna be able to hear easy, I can tell you now, but you're gonna hear touch me, I say that I was touched, and then a girl says me.
No.
Kind of.
I couldn't hear it up here.
Look, you want to go to Q&A real quick, man? You can't-
Yeah, we'll skip because you can't hear
Well,
the
what's
rest
the
of
rest
them.
of
hear
them?
You can't hear the rest of them because they're much lower, except for, well, there's a couple. Find the ones that
Well,
says
let's
bangs.
try to hear them.
Do you have better recordings on, or do you have better ones on your YouTube?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, all these are on the
You
YouTube.
hear them here, but we just don't have the speaker
Yeah.
for
You'll
it.
have the option for headphones, and then you'll get to listen to some really fantastic
Yeah.
ones too.
This one, we cannot figure out.
This is the one I told you all about
No.
that the guys
Yeah.
upstairs didn't even hear, neither did the people in the basement, just the 3 females that was on the main level.
I was outside.
Were you still on the main level?
Okay.
And then you heard the crying, yeah.
Oh, no, I
Play the one that says movement above it, around it.
I was actually on live when the big bang happened.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
There, no one's near here, we're outside.
Yeah,
Listen to this.
I'm watching the monitors.
You can barely hear it, but it's like somebody's shaking. All right, we're gonna flip lights and do Q&A. We gotta hurry up. I
Yeah,
mean,
we gotta
it's
hurry
getting
up, we
late.
got some good questions for people too.
Yeah, so if y'all have any questions about what I just heard, go
They're
ahead.
gonna be there
Go
back.
ahead, Coach.
Huh?
Listen,
No,
All right, look it, you'll be careful.
that'll be a question for tomorrow, COVID.
Hey Kenny, do you have a question?
Right here, got a couple.
I know. He's back there. This might be some questions to help some people out. We've only got a handful, so we'll get some few questions going.
Okay,
You freaked out yet?
all right, let me ask, I'll start off with this one here. What, I guess best way I can put it is, what signs are there, if you will, or how can you determine to tell the difference between a spirit and a demonic or a demon?
How can you tell the difference between it being a spirit or a demon?
Is that the one you said I'm gonna answer?
Yeah, you answer that.
I can walk in
I didn't say it, I just thought of it, yeah, go ahead.
where I've got the gifts, not of just clairvoyance, but of being an anointed, ordained minister. I've got authority over them. We all do if we have faith in Christ. And literally ever since I've ever remembered, actually, I can walk into a place and feel it. I get angry, I get sick, like nauseous to the point I'm about to puke. I can usually feel like your skin just crawls. It's hard to explain unless you experience it, but I know when something's bad.
I have to stand, I'm sorry, my butt's a little numb right now. Go ahead and ask your other one.
Okay,
It's uncomfortable.
when you come in contact with the actual spirits that you know are human spirits, do you try to get them all to pass over, or if they seem content?
Well, I'll call on them to answer that in just a second. We do, only if the client wants us to.
Okay.
Because if the client is uncomfortable with us crossing them over, we don't even ask them again because it's their house.
Okay.
And they might feel, if we've answered them, okay, this is, Margaret's here, or that's my grandma because she said this, they don't want them to leave.
All right.
But Jeff can answer that too.
Before, we've actually been offended the client by asking them.
Yeah.
So we make sure we know how their
Well,
persona is before
yeah.
asking.
Well, on my paperwork, whenever I call, I say, okay, we offer these services, again, this is free. I said, we can bless homes, cross over the spirits, and we can do a sage cleansing. I said, you can take all 3, or you can do one or the other. Like right now, the one that we're getting ready to go to on the second, he don't want anything but a sage cleansing, because he just wants to make sure there's nothing bad there. He don't want a blessing, he don't want it crossed over, because he said if it's their house, he don't want them to have to leave. So that makes, go ahead, Jay.
We don't force them to go. We give them an option to go. We open the doorway for them, and if they want to leave, then they leave. We tell them that, that's where you're, like as a child, well, this is where your parents are. They're waiting on you. Do you want to go? Most of the time they do go. There's some, we've come across a lot that do stay. But if they want to leave, if they're looking to get out, looking to get away to someplace better, then they go. But we don't force them.
And maybe didn't have the knowledge to be able to do so. Anybody else have a question?
I have a question for Steve, and I had asked you, what do you, I know like in my conference and stuff, when it comes to like paranormal and stuff, like, there's a lot of, bad feelings towards it, so how do you deal with that as a minister?
That's a good question because I get that a lot.
Yes.
I pretty much just try my best to point out the scripture and not get frustrated because, a lot of people can feel frustration. And I'm the type of person, I'm an open-minded person. I know what I grew up with. So I try to tell people my experiences, and when they say it's demonic, then the best thing I do is just say, okay, here's what the scriptures say. You tell me that Jesus is sitting there, he always rebuked anything evil and anything that was wrong. And I point out scriptures where Jesus never spoke a word, and then I start rolling it and putting out scriptures where there talks about spirits. 90% of the time people shut up. Then you have that other 10% that just want to start a fight because they love the drama, I guess.
Yeah,
I've actually
go to hell.
Yeah, I've actually had ministers who, come in raging mad and just like, you're going to hell, blah, blah. And when I talk to them, I'm like, oh, well, you see it. I've read that. And then they stop.
Another way as a minister's wife that I combat that whole, you're a minister and you're chasing spirits is like, and especially from like the Christian crowd, that's where you get it the most. And I'm like, don't you worship the Holy Spirit? I mean, you can't, I always remind them that hypocrisy is a big thing, even within the church and without the church, and if you're gonna say that one spirit's okay to be cool with, but all the other ones damn you to hell, then that kind of makes you a bit of a hypocrite.
Pretty much I just try to pray and let God guide me. I mean,
He's
it's really
nice.
hard. Because a lot of people is going to believe what they're going to believe, and you can't make them believe any other way. And you just kind of try to, I guess, have a conversation and ease it in without feeling frustrated.
Walk out the doors.
Well, have you had problems with like getting stumped about like, say you were gonna go somewhere to preach, or especially if you're a minister, you're gonna go somewhere to preach, and then they found out about the Paranormal Society? Never had any problems?
I have, however, had a client call us out, know what we were doing and who I am, and then start mocking us.
Thank you for coming.
And I'm like, well, why are you calling us out if you're going to sit here and fight it? And we just packed up. Because, I mean, they deliberately call us out to fight. Thank you all for coming.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
See, I think that's mean.
It is.
Yeah. They weren't even Christians. They literally said they were Satanists and they just wanted to fight us. And I'm like,
had alcohol and drinking and.
Yeah. So I said, we're done. Let's get up. We're going. She's not here anymore, so I'll just direct you. You got another?
Yeah.
She's supposed to be over the Q&A.
I've actually got, I got about 2 more questions, is what I've got. One, this one is, what do you do, if you will, or what do you use to protect yourself and the team from, say, evil or demonic spirits? When you first come upon a case, you know that there's something demonic, let's just get it down to it. What do you do, you know what I'm saying, to protect yourself, protect the team, and like that, and even when you leave that residence or whatever?
I remember Angie, because he sent this question, she said she wanted me to answer that one. I pray, try. Sometimes I have to be reminded because you're in the shamble of getting things set up and you don't remember. But the team is good about reminding me to pray. We pray in, we always pray out, we make sure the client's there. If it's something bad, I make sure nobody goes in except for ministers. If you're not a minister and you're not trained or ordained to fight these, you are in big trouble. They will use the weakest link and they will attack them. So I try to make sure that I'm alone first, and, you know, of course, like I said, the ministers, we battle it, we get it out, then we come in. A lot of times they say something's bad, it usually isn't. Demons are super rare to come across. We have, but in 10 years, maybe once or twice. And we always make sure that we tell them when we're leaving, you're not allowed to follow us. Because, as Jeff mentioned earlier, we've had that mistake where they do follow us. I took over.
Okay, that's fine. Ron has a good question too, because I know he didn't ask it while I wasn't in here.
This is to Steve.
This is to Steve.
Why is there never activity when I'm in the basement?
What the story is?
Well, ain't nobody trying to mess with you.
He come on an investigation, he was in the basement 3 rounds. So I said, we need to get Ron out of the basement. So we went back into the investigation, and I'm sitting there, and they had nothing going on. I said, well, you know what, let's put Ron back in. It was like 5 minutes later.
Didn't even pay attention.
He didn't complain once. And the
He said the basement the whole
entire
time, yeah. I had to have him ask that question.
I knew he was going to.
Did Kenny ask all his?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
One more.
I got one more, final question.
Chop chop.
Okay. Do you find that there's an increase in activity during what's known as, if you will, the witching hour or the devil hour from 12 to 3 or 3 or 4 or 3 to 4?
It's 3:30.
And also, since Halloween is upon us, many believe that during almost pretty much the month, or especially Halloween itself, that the veil between the spirit and the physical world is at its thinnest. I don't know, that's the terminology that I understand. Yep. Do you find that there's even an increase in activity, 1, during the witching hour, 2, during the Halloween season time of the year?
My answer is A, no, B, yes. Go ahead, Steve.
No, because I can get as much activity at 9 o'clock as I can any other time.
Only
I guess
whenever
it
they get
depends on
used
the
to us.
location too.
When they get used to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're having a bunch of activity from 8 o'clock to midnight, and then all of a sudden it dies, no pun intended, it isn't because, okay, the veil's open, what are they doing? It's because you have trained them. You know, us,
Yeah.
we're physical beings. You get tired, like, you know, you've had a hard day at work or school or whatever.
Yeah.
They operate solely on energy. And they've got to use energy to manifest, to speak, to do this. If you're dealing with them for 5 hours and then they just stop, they're out. I mean, their batteries are dry. And I mean, like I said, I've had as much activity at 8 o'clock as I have 3 o'clock. And I used to go in cases where we'd go in at, 11 o'clock and stay till 4, 3, whatever. And there's time, I mean, it doesn't, broad daylight, it just all.
I've seen it full moon, raining. It's, you just, I don't know, sometimes it does accelerate.
A lot of it,
And,
though, doesn't it? A lot of it is based on what kind of spirit's there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now the Halloween thing, yes. The biggest reason I believe is because a lot of witches and pagans and those who believe that that is the thinnest, they do their rituals, this and that. But it has to do with nothing to do with that.
It's the Wiccan New Year.
Yeah.
Samhain is the Wiccan
It
New
is.
Year.
Yeah.
So they do all of their New Year spells and rituals and stuff.
Right.
Just like we would do for like January 1st, we have a party, we count down,
Yeah.
we kiss at midnight.
That's
Those
why
are
they
rituals.
That's why they dance around firelight.
They're just
Yeah.
social rituals, and these are religious rituals. But yes, Samhain is the Wiccan New Year.
I think the reason biggest is because the moon, or the planet phases. If you're sensitive, you're gonna feel the planets when they align. And the phases of the planets at this time, they're right there where people who have gifts are just, we're insane. I mean, literally, I've had a really rough month with depression, with anxiety, with distress. It's because the planets is just like going insane. I can't see anything.
Well, Steve said, what's been wrong with you? I said, I don't like everybody, but I like everybody. I don't know what it is, but I do know what it is. And you're just, up in the air about it. And you're mad at everybody, but you're not mad. I don't know how to explain it.
We'll take one more question before we lock up.
Well, it's not really a question, it's more like kind of on this point.
Okay.
Couldn't it also be that around Halloween time more people are feeding into that
Yes.
energy?
Oh, yeah.
I believe it.
Because they're making those rituals.
It's group mind.
Yeah.
An interesting thing that happened around the September 11th attacks is around the world they have random number generators everywhere.
And what they've noticed is that these random number generators will, right before there's a big tragic event, will no longer be random. And it's groupthink. And because we think it that way, it is that way.
Yeah.
Just like they said earlier, you know, we're energy beings, we're not physical, so it all
What is
feeds
your
into
opinion
it.
on that? I was
I think that, you know, at a certain time, you know, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think